In New York, the summer culture is that on the weekends, we all drive out to the Hamptons on Fridays and share a house together, party, hook up. Our 30s is where we are just like trying to learn how to be adults. The whole world came along for every journey of mine. Whatever I've gone through, I've shared it.
What did you learn about yourself through being on the show? Lindsay, welcome to Poster and High.
Oh my God. I just went to the bathroom and I almost laid under the hand dryer.
You know, it's funny. So we started with a run. We start all of our interviews with a run. And it's very hot in New York right now. And I always wonder when people come back to the studio, like if they're in the bathroom, like splashing their face with water.
No, I did look at my face and I was like, who needs highlighter when you have sweat?
No, we have a natural glow.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've got the post-run high going, which you're an athlete, like no better feeling. Come on.
Yeah.
Have you ever done an interview sweaty before?
No, not on purpose.
Well, how are you feeling?
I feel good. I feel alive. I feel like that was like the jump start to my new fitness journey.
Good.
Of running on a treadmill inside with AC.
We actually have a version of the show in the winter that we do sometimes on treadmills because when it's like 15 degrees in New York, I just can't do it. Like I literally cannot be in the cold. My body shuts down. But I hate running on a treadmill. Like
no, it's boring.
It's so boring.
Like, are you a podcast on the treadmill or like a TV show on the treadmill? Like what kind of if you are forced to run on a treadmill and you're not interviewing somebody?
So on the rare occasion that I'm forced to run on a treadmill, like if it's so brutal outside or like it's pouring rain and I'm like, I have to work out. Like typically I won't go to the gym, like unless I really feel like I need to.
You're like, I just avoid it altogether.
Yeah, like I like running outside. I like going to like fitness classes with my friends. But if I'm on the treadmill, rare occasion, I'm catching up on Khloe Kardashian's podcast video version on YouTube and I'm watching it like TV.
Yeah. So you have the video and the sound. I recently, I haven't been on a treadmill in a while, but like the last time I was on a treadmill, I was listening to a podcast. It makes it go by so much faster because you're just like absorbing and your mind is distracted from like how many lack of miles you've gone.
Yeah. I hope some of the people listening are listening to this while working out. That would be great.
They are.
Yeah. Just know that Lindsay.
Keep going, everyone.
Yeah, keep going. Lindsay and I just worked out. So we're here to tell you that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. I laughed at Kate when she said how many miles and then we went over 1 mile. So mission accomplished.
Yeah. I mean, come on. So I liked finding out that you were a soccer player growing up. So you are an athlete, but you just had a baby recently.
Which is like a sport in and of itself.
Yeah. And I also feel like with fitness, there's like different chapters of people's lives and movement fits in differently in all of those chapters. So like where would you say you're at right now movement wise? Like what does it look like in your life?
Right now, I just moved downtown. So like I've been like so focused on this move. I have a very long hallway in my apartment. So the most exercise I get is like walking back and forth, which by the way, like it is a lot of steps.
Especially when you're holding a baby.
Yeah. Especially when you're holding a 20-pound baby. But I'm ready to like get back into something. I think I'm going to start small and maybe, like do Pilates, but I am traditionally a runner. Like I grew up playing sports, playing soccer. You know, soccer is like a huge running sport. So I've always loved running for just the mental health aspect of it, but also, you know, the physical benefits and the stamina. But yeah, maybe I'll wait till it like cools down a little bit more for my running journey to start back up. But yeah, I think I'm like ready to explore the fitness studios in Tribeca.
I feel like it's good to like ease yourself back in.
Yeah.
And no better way than with Pilates. But it is so true. Like when you grow up an athlete, like I was the same way. I was always on sports teams growing up. And so now movement is in my life in like different ways and it like comes in waves, but I feel like it'll always be like a piece of me. Like I need to move my body in some sort of way or sweat or just like get myself going so that I can like accomplish things.
Yeah. No, I looked at my ass the other day in the mirror and I was like, what? I need to do something like, no, like squats. I was a big Barry's girl for a couple of years. Like I was at Barry's for like I don't know, 4 or 5 days a week.
Barry's is intense.
It's so intense, but like I like intense activity.
For everybody listening, you're one of the OG Summer House cast members. Summer House is a big reality show on Bravo TV. It's actually one of the only reality shows that I've watched.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, because you don't watch Love Island.
Which I do need to watch.
Which you need to start.
Yeah. And I am really—
Until Summer House comes back on.
Yeah. When does Summer House come back on?
Usually in like the winter time. So
Okay.
like January, February typically.
Because you guys are filming right now.
Yeah.
Going into filming a show like that in the summer, right? You're in bathing suits, like you're, summer clothes are summer clothes. Like what did your fitness routine typically look like going into like shooting?
Back in the day, I used to, a month before, like really amp up on exercise and eating healthy and not drinking. I think these days I'm just like trying to survive.
Yeah.
Most days I like survive on like a glass of wine at the end of the day after I get my daughter to bed. I'm like, I need wine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're like, I need to take my mind off of this immediately.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I could eat a little bit healthier, but I definitely was way more into it when I was younger. I think now I just have a little bit more confidence. I've always been like a pretty self-confident person, especially just physically. Like if I had gained weight, if I had lost weight, like I always felt good in my skin for the most part. But being a new mom, like all of a sudden I was like, all right, what is my body going to look like? Am I going to bounce back? Am I going to, like need to like step it up again? And I think I can. I think I can step it up again.
Yeah. And like for women listening that, or even like men that have wives that are like pregnant or going through the process of like postpartum. And even for me as somebody that like wants to have a baby relatively soon, like what would you say the months post having a baby have been like?
They were wild. Postpartum is like no joke. And I am lucky because I didn't really suffer from postpartum depression, but I did have, in the beginning, I had body image issues because your body just goes through so much. Like especially towards the end when your baby's like fully baked and I'm out to here, I gained 60 pounds during my pregnancy. And, then afterwards you're like, people just think that you have a baby and then you're flat again, like your stomach is flat and you're back to what you looked like before you were pregnant. But it takes a while. Your body is raging with hormones. You're trying to figure out like, the feeding journey that you want to put your baby on, whether it's breastfeeding or pumping or both, or, combo feeding with formula. It's a lot of pressure for new moms. And, and then on top of that, like I was having an identity crisis of like, okay, who am I? I'm now a mom, like that, add that to like, one of my titles, but like I need to gain experience and confidence as a mom. And, but what does that mean for my future? Where's my career going? Am I going to be on Summer House? Am I not going to be on Summer House? Like, it's not exactly an environment, where you can bring a baby to the Summer House and like live there. So, there was like a lot of question marks. It was a huge transitional year for me from, having a baby and becoming a mom, but then also like question mark about my career. And I think that's where I struggled the most, as a career oriented and driven person. My career has always been important to me. So, not knowing where that was going, you like really have to trust in the universe that it's all going to work out and everything happens for a reason. Which is why, that's kind of my motto is just like, really just trust the process and it's all going to be okay.
It's so true. And like you're in such an exciting new chapter of your life. But yeah, it is crazy. Like you bring a new life into the world and all of a sudden like your priorities change. But at the same time, it's like you have your job, you have your career, you have your show. And I think what's so cool is we were talking about this on the run, but I didn't realize this until last night when I was like doing a little bit of research. But July 4th, 2024 is when you announced to your castmates that you were pregnant.
It is.
And it is July 1st, 2025. Your baby is 7 months?
Almost 7 months. Sunday, she'll be 7 months old, which is like Crazy. It's so true. You literally blink and you're like, whoa, she's already trying to crawl. She's like standing up in her crib. Like in the morning, she'll lift herself up. She's so strong. But it's like so many milestones in the first year. And it's such a beautiful process to experience and witness. And she's the best baby. But yeah, like, there's nothing better. Like basically all the cliches, that they say about, having a kid, they're all true. Like, the one that's like, it's a love like you've never felt before. And you're like, okay, we get it. Relax. Like, no, it's so true. It is a love like you've never felt before. Your heart expands in a way that like, is just so fulfilling in your life. It's also, you get like more protective where, every decision you make comes with your child's safety first and foremost. But it's also like highly motivating. Like I was just telling you, since having Gemma 7 months ago, like I've worked harder and more than ever. Like I was literally on my hospital bed having like given birth 24 hours ago, doing a Jimmy John's, ad as like my first meal post, delivery. So, and then in January, in like the heart of postpartum and like, in the throes of like new parenthood, I had more brand campaigns than ever before. So yeah, it's a motivation personally to like, do more and be better.
Definitely. I mean, be better is like, I think the biggest thing, because I feel like having a baby, you become so much more selfless, and it's like your life is no longer just revolving around yourself. Like there's literally a human being that you're raising that, you're working hard for. So,
well, and that's like you as a woman, and especially like a very social girl who would just like pick up and go like meet my girlfriends for a glass of wine or a dinner in the neighborhood. Like that was always my thing, is like, my girlfriends would call it like 8 p.m. and they're like, let's go get a glass of wine or let's go to dinner. Like you can't do that anymore. And, you're just trying to like figure out this new cadence of life as, a new mom. And that like really took a while, but you're mourning the loss of who you were before. Like I can sit here and tell you, yeah, there are definite like elements of like my personality and, being driven and, outgoing and outspoken, but I am a very different person like sitting here today than I would have been a year ago.
If you could go back and tell your self a year ago, July 4th, 2024, one thing, like what would it be?
I guess that like it's gonna be challenging, but you're gonna figure it out, and you always do. Like there's something about me, like I always land on my feet because I refuse to accept like defeat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you can tell. And this show is all about movement. And we love covering stories of people that really just show the power of movement and the idea that if you just keep going, like you will succeed.
No, literally one foot in front of the other in every aspect of life.
Every aspect of life. Yeah. And like, I just love how the word movement transfers into so many different things. It's really not just about the physical activity, which obviously we always start with, but it's so much more than that. And I want to bring everybody back so that we can get to know you from the ground up. Can you paint the picture a little bit more for us of where you grew up in Florida, what your early life was like, and like what young Lindsay was like?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Hobe Sound, Florida. It was like, it's a really, really small town that not a lot of people had heard of. But if you're a big golfer or your husband or boyfriend loves to golf, like they'll definitely know it. It's a golf community, but I did not play golf. I was a tomboy. My, brother played baseball. My dad, coached, and I just like loved doing everything that my brother did. At one point, like he went to high school and he was in ROTC. So I was like, well, I'm going to be in ROTC because I wanted to do everything that my brother did. He was a year older than me. But yeah, I had like a pretty good childhood, like normal, comfortable, household with, I think just like a normal childhood. And then I was always very into my academics. Like I knew I really wanted to go to college. I wanted to go to like, a big state school. And the only way to really do that was to focus on my academics. I did play soccer my whole life, but then I had to quit so I could focus. I was in the International Baccalaureate program, which is basically weighted higher than AP. So I was taking college courses since like 8th grade. Like I read the Odyssey in 8th grade. I read like every Shakespeare book, like, in like 9th, 10th grade. And I was taking all these college courses, to basically get all the credits and be able to like get into University of Florida. So graduated high school. I think I was like 25th out of like 600 people.
Oh my God, Lindsay.
Yeah, I used to be really smart.
No, you are really smart, but that is so impressive.
I was like opposite of a girl's girl in high school. I definitely, yeah.
Well, you're a girl's girl.
Well, but then I went to college and all of a sudden, like I like hit puberty late in college. And I had boobs and I wound up like working at all the bars and clubs to make money. I paid my way through my own college. My parents didn't help me. And like college is expensive. And like, especially like a big school like University of Florida, it was really expensive. I had a lot of student loans, but I had a great college career. Like I majored in public relations, which even when I picked it, I was like, what is this? I don't even know what this is, but sounds cool. Maybe I'll like it. And then of course I realized it had always come natural to me.
Mm-hmm. What do you think it was that came natural to you about PR?
I think like just my creativity of, branding things or promoting things. Like I, would always gravitate towards, how to hype up a brand or restaurant or, company. It was just like always in me. Like I just, I was hanging out. My like boyfriend in college was best friends with the basketball players, and we had won 2 national basketball championships and 2 national football championships. Like this is like Tebow era. But my boyfriend in college was best friends with the basketball players, and like I remember we were walking down the street with like Joakim Noah and Al Horford, and I don't even know if anyone knows these, if the listeners know, but it was like they were famous in college. And like, I remember I was so hungry. We were going to lunch and like, we could not walk more than 20 feet because these guys were like taking photos and signing autographs. And I was like, okay, no more pictures, no more autographs. We got to go, like, like spreading the crowd so that we could get by. And I was like, I'm kind of good at this.
No, and I mean, it makes so much sense considering what you do now, and how you went on to start your own PR agency, and now you really do a lot of PR for yourself.
Yeah. But it works with like any brand campaign because I can speak that language and I know the back end of it, and I know, what their deliverables are and like, how to speak to a brand and like, what it can offer just based off of my PR background. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so important. Like I worked in advertising straight out of college, and I was interning during school. I went to college here. I also worked all the way through college. I didn't pay my whole way through college, but I also graduated with a lot of student loans. And you and I can connect on that. We'll talk about it in a little bit, the feeling of finally paying them off through being in this industry. But yeah, like I think having that PR background that you have, or the advertising background, or really any sort of corporate kind of setting, it just helps a lot with the industry and like knowing how to like talk to clients and,
totally
work with
how
people.
To navigate like, even just like red carpets. Like I was on the back end, I was behind the camera, but I was running red carpets in my like young PR days. I told you I lived in LA for 3.5 years. And I mean, that's like Hollywood. And I represented a lot of like restaurants, lounges, clubs, bars. And, it was part of my job was to get celebrities to come to your venues. And, if I threw an event, like I would have to run that red carpet and make sure that like, all the media was able to interview the celebrities that were there. And, I had to go to all of these like events around the world, from the Cannes Film Festival to, the first Formula One race in Austin to, Sundance to whatever. And it was just like, I kind of just always felt comfortable in that world, that it was an easy transition when Summer House happened.
What was the PR that you were working in when you first graduated?
Yeah, it was like lifestyle. So I did, I did hospitality, restaurants, lounges, bars, clubs, hotels, but then I also did like beauty, fashion, consumer goods, and yeah, just more lifestyle. I think back then when I first came out of college, it was like, I think we represented MySpace. Yeah. So like even, websites and tech. I've kind of everything, I've done it all under the lifestyle umbrella. But I loved PR. And especially back in the day, like I was trained on traditional PR where I had to really challenge myself and, use my creative mind to write pitches and press releases that then had to convince, the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times to write about my clients or get my clients on Bloomberg or, E-News, like whatever the case was. Like we had to work really hard to develop those relationships and also like use our creativity and different pitch angles to like keep our clients relevant throughout the years. And it was fun and it was challenging, but PR doesn't make a lot of money. And I'm sure like you ran into that in the advertising world too. Like it's very top heavy. And when I was starting out in New York City in 2008, I made $27,000 a year. That's insane. Like to survive in the heart of New York City on $27,000 a year, guess what? Half of that goes to taxes. Now you're looking at like $13,000 a year.
It's criminal. And when I first graduated, I think when I first graduated in 2019, and I graduated in 2018, I was like a psycho because I was like, I'm paying for my last year of college. Like I need to get out of school as soon as I can. So I kind of like stacked my classes so that I could graduate a little bit early. But technically when I graduated in 2019, I think I was making like maybe 40 or 39,000. So like not that much more than what you were making at the time. And like that amount of money, I don't even know how I made it work, but I did. But it was criminal how much you get paid.
No, it's insane.
Yeah.
I think that's like illegal now. I don't even know. It might have been like less than minimum wage.
Yeah, it's horrible. And then all of a sudden,
I had a bartend on the side.
Yeah. And guys, for anybody that doesn't know how student loans work, it's basically 6 months post graduating, they kick in and you can figure out how much you pay. But for me, it was like $500 a month I was paying, on top of like paying $1,200 a month in rent and trying to afford to eat and figure out how to go out with friends and have fun. Yeah.
No, I don't even know what I did. I don't even know if I paid them. I just knew I had them.
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
And I was like, can they still find me?
Right. No, seriously. Yeah. Wait, you paid them off though, right? Eventually?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So when Summer House came about, that was the entire reason I was like, this is going to be a great way to supplement my income is like, I mean, we obviously didn't make that much money on season 1 of Summer House, but like in my head, I was like, I had like at that point, $30,000 more, $35,000 more of student loans that I had to pay off. And PR was not cutting it. I wasn't making enough money to like, obviously the interest rates are adding up. It's now been like years. I'm like, oh my God.
And you're working so hard.
I'm working so hard. Yeah. At this point, like, I'm starting my own PR firm, but it still is just like, it's a grind. And so I really started doing Summer House to pay off my student loans. And it's like, for me, it was never like a fame thing. It was never like, I just wanted to pay my student loans off and I didn't know how long it was going to last. Like we thought Summer House was going to last like a year or two. Like here we are 10 years later and like my mind is just blown.
Did you start your PR firm before the first season of Summer House?
So I actually so I worked at a PR firm with a boss. We had a New York office and an LA office. I left that PR firm in August of 2014 to start my own PR firm with my boyfriend at the time. He was a chef and had a bunch of restaurants in the city. So it was kind of like a built-in client. And we started a PR firm together. We had a very like tumultuous relationship. Like if anyone's ever dated a chef, they could probably understand.
Wait, what was tumultuous about dating a chef? I need to know.
Like they're very interesting people.
This is kind of a hot topic right now because I think The Bear, the next season of The Bear, just came out and I keep seeing videos about it.
Well, it's like, I mean, just an obvious, factor is that the hours are very difficult. Like they work at night. And I would work during the day. So you just kind of don't see each other. And then you also, I think in that particular relationship, like he was very controlling. He didn't want me going out with my girlfriends. And I'm like, dude, you're working at night. Like I'm going to go out with my girlfriends. I was also like in my late 20s and, no like strong, I didn't have a kid. So, and you're working. So of course I'm going to go out with my girlfriends.
Throw into the mix, you're doing PR for him.
Yeah. And I'm like doing PR for him. So, but yeah, so I had actually started a PR firm with him in August of 2014. And then 2 years later, we started filming Summer House. And he and I had been broken up. Like we were able to like maintain our, PR firm together. He was fully dating a girl, like no problem. I'm okay with it. Like we're cordial, we're friends, and we're running a company together. But once I started filming Summer House, he did not like that. And I also started dating my boyfriend at that time, Everett. He was on season 1. And that guy did not like that either. So it was very toxic. And so I sidestepped, left that PR firm with him and started my own. And that was in July of season 1. So July 2016.
Wow. So you were balancing season 1 of Summer House, being on reality TV for the first time in front of a camera.
Yeah.
While building your business.
Yeah. And dealing with a toxic ex.
Mm-hmm. And dealing with a chef.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it was kind of wild. And I maintained that PR firm for the first 5 years of Summer House. Because again, like it was always my thing. Like you never know what's going to happen with reality TV. You never know what's going to happen with your show. We could have gotten canceled at any point. And I needed to be smart. Like I needed to, I wasn't going to give up my traditional career, in corporate America because this, I'm filming a reality show. But slowly and eventually, like we kind of proved that we had staying power with Summer House. And, there was a lot of hope for longevity. And then COVID hit in 2020. And, you can't really promote restaurants or, brands if no one is going to the restaurants and if no one is buying anything because now the whole world is, confused about what's happening. So I got put on pause by all of my clients, which is like completely understandable. Like PR is a luxury for a client and it's a lot of money. A monthly retainer can be from anywhere from like $3,000 to like $20,000. Of course, I didn't have $20,000 clients. I had smaller brands, but, so everyone put me on pause, totally understandable. And I kind of looked at that as the opportunity to really just lean in to being Lindsay from Summer House. Brands got really smart to where they targeted influencers at home to promote their products. I was one of those, influencers that started working with brands during COVID to, kind of go into that route and lean into it. And then all my clients were like, okay, we're ready for PR again, but we have like 1/30th of the budget. Like, whereas you were paying me $5,000 a month before, you can only pay me like $500 a month. And I was like, this is just not worth my time. Because like when I do something, I do it at 100, like if you're not able to pay me what it's actually worth, and I don't know how to like pull back the reins. Like I'm always going to I'm going to do the job of a $20,000, retainer. So yeah. And I just was like, you know what? Like this is now the time. Summer House is seemingly not going anywhere, and I can, make more money doing brand campaigns.
Yeah, and your PR experience like directly helped how to do a brand campaign.
For sure.
What do you feel like about having a traditional PR background from like a public facing point of view? How do you think that helped you when you were on Summer House and like in front of the camera for the first time?
I don't think it helped me at all. In fact, I probably should have hired a publicist sooner, because I never did personal PR. I only ever worked with brands or, hospitality accounts. And the only time I would, do the personal side of the PR for an actual person was if it was the CEO of that company or the chef or the owner. But I never did personal PR for, people in the entertainment industry. And I think in regards to me, like I never knew how to do like PR for myself. Like I just have always been authentically me. Take me or leave me, good or bad, activated or not, screaming about sandwiches or, just being silly and goofy. And I think in the real world, it's not always good to, have that level of like energy.
No, I think it is good.
Yeah, but I think like for TV, it's entertaining. Like people want to see drama. People want to see people activated.
And let's talk about the premise of Summer House. For people listening that don't know the show and how it came to be, can you kind of paint the picture for us? Because I feel like the drama on the show just naturally comes with the setting that you guys are in.
Totally.
So let's paint the picture for everybody. How did Summer House come to be, and what is the premise of the show?
Yeah. So in New York, the summer culture is that we live in the city, we work hard Monday through Friday. But then on the weekends, we all drive out to the Hamptons on Fridays and share a house together, party, hook up, and, just enjoy the weekends, literally sharing a house under the same roof. Every weekend of the summer, which is the culture of New York if you're in your 20s and 30s. It's a lifestyle that we had been living already. It's a lifestyle that I have been doing since 2007 when I interned in the city. And
that's early. Yeah. I didn't start going to I don't go to the Hamptons consistently, but last year we did a house in the Hamptons for the first time with some friends. But in my early 20s, I would have never been able to afford it.
Yeah, no, that's why you share houses. Some of these houses are just we've slept on mattresses in a garage before. We have, there's been rooms where it's bunk beds. You're, in a bunk bed with another girl, sharing a bed. They some of these houses, they just stack them with people so that you can afford to pay for a weekend or, a month. But yeah, it started with Kyle and I's group of friends. This is 10 years ago, and that was our heyday of partying and going out in the city. And, we kind of took over at night. I don't know.
And how did you guys know each other?
Just we had this big peripheral group. So, obviously there's pockets of best friends, but then you all know each other. There must have been hundreds of us that all knew each other because of going out and, having fun and partying in New York City. So we, once the producers found our group of friends, thanks to Kyle, he was you need to meet our group of friends. They just started picking everyone out one by one until they had the cast. So Summer House started with Kyle and I's true, group of friends. And our headset was okay, well, we do this anyway. Like, fine, if there's a camera there, might as well. Like, we're already going to be doing it with or without the cameras. Me, of course, I wanted to pay off my student loans. And yeah, it was a little different because we were used to like creating our own schedules on the weekends in the Hamptons. Whereas this time around you couldn't. And, yeah, and the surveillance camera aspect is definitely more unique to Summer House than like most other Bravo shows.
Let's talk about what the surveillance camera is.
Surveillance cameras are like cameras in the corners of the rooms, right? They're in every single room. They're in all the bedrooms. They're in the living room, kitchen. And I think what is so unique and cool about the surveillance cameras is that it captures very authentic moments, right? Like we're talking about summertime in the Hamptons. You're filming around the clock, Friday nights, all day Saturday night, all day Sunday. We drink a lot of rosé or I guess Lover Boys or, whatever your drink of choice for the summertime is. So, at the end of the day, when you're like in the hot sun and you've been drinking rosé all day, it can add to the drama. And the surveillance cameras definitely capture, that level of authentic behavior, whether it's someone crying or someone hooking up or someone getting into a fight. Like there's no escaping, it's not like you can wake up the next day and be like, thank God no one was there to see that. Like if you get in a fight with your boyfriend, you're like, okay, I'm glad we worked through that in private. Like, we're going to keep this between us. Not on Summer House. You get in a fight with your boyfriend and it's now everywhere.
That's
everyone knows.
It is now part of the plot.
Right.
The producers are in on it.
Literally.
So like, what was that like in those early years of going from like living a private life to then all of a sudden everything is out there for the public to see? Like, was that a hard adjustment?
No, because it was like a slow build, right? Like I think that people didn't really catch on to Summer House in those early seasons. And, which is probably why we didn't know or think it was going to go past a couple of seasons. But by season like 4, 5, we had switched up the cast a little bit. We started hitting our stride. The COVID season was like, it was a lot for us in the house because we were in the house for a month and a half, like did not leave, didn't go back to the city, same group of people, but it made for really good television. Season four had aired. It was airing right when COVID hit. So all of a sudden, everybody's at home and they're looking to discover new television shows. By the time we're filming season 5, it was summer of 2020 in the middle of COVID. And so I think that's where we started hitting our stride. And that's when a lot of discovery was made with new viewers. And I think it's been up from there. So it was like a slow build, very gradual with like the, people recognizing us.
What was the biggest learning curve for you? And maybe like, what did you learn about yourself through being on the show?
What did I learn about myself? I mean, here's the thing, like you really should not go on reality TV if you are very concerned about people's opinions. It's probably a really unhealthy, career if you mentally or emotionally cannot handle, what the world thinks of you. I think what I learned about myself is I just don't care what the world thinks of me.
Yeah. I mean, that's,
like
you have to be that
I
way.
truly like show up and I am just me, which I think was maybe beneficial, because like my mindset was always like, you know what? Like if people don't like me, then I probably don't like them either. Like end of story. If they can see through like some of the bullshit and like see to like who I truly am, then, chances are, yeah, maybe they'll like me. But either way, like I'm not living this life or, presenting a different version of myself to America or the world. Like you get me as I am. But I think that works for me. It doesn't work for everyone. Like
it doesn't. And like I think the beauty about reality TV too is like in the context of what you're talking about, like people get to see you in a very natural setting, right? Because you're in a house, you're hanging out with your friends, you're talking to people and communicating with them the way you would communicate to anybody, right? Like, guys, Lindsay's sitting here right here with me. You're the same on the show as you are in person. And I think, yeah, like making friends with people in general. It's like there's people that are going to like you. There's people that are not going to like you. But the people that like you will always back you because they're like, no, I know her. I've seen her be vulnerable on the show. Like I've seen her have real conversations.
Totally.
You know, and it's either like you vibe with like what you're putting out or you don't. And it's okay if you don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's enough people that do.
And I'm all right. Like, you know, if someone's not my kind of people, like I'm okay with that. Like I have enough friends.
Yeah, exactly. You have enough supporters. Okay, well, over the years, I mean, you guys are filming your 10th season right now. You know, you've dealt with a lot online. We talked a little bit about Carl during the run. Let's talk a little bit about what you guys went through and kind of what that experience was like going through publicly, you know, and ending an engagement.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak for him, but for me personally, it was awful. That was a moment that like created a lot of adult trauma for me. I think like, you know, I always thought that our relationship, it was such a slow build. Like we started out as friends and we were best friends and we tried to date season 4. It didn't work out. Like he was still partying and I was not in a place either. But then, you know, then he got sober. Then we tried, you know, we started dating after filming season 6. And, you know, we had been together for a year. He proposed. And then by the next year, like we had been planning a wedding. So we were, you know, in total together for 2 years, but we had formed such a bond and a friendship and a best friendship. So I always felt like our relationship was beyond the show. And when he made the decision to, you know, basically break up with me out, which was very blindsiding for me, but like I did not see it coming. I had no idea that like, you know, he was even capable of hurting a friend like that. So yeah, that breakup. And then like, as soon as it happened, 30 minutes later, it was all over the internet, which means someone leaked it. And it was not me because I was still trying to process what the hell just happened to me. So yeah, it was pretty bad. It was one of the most humiliating moments of my life. Like I would have thought that he probably could have like had a conversation with me in private to at least give me a heads up of like, you know, just on a friend level, that he was going to do this. And, you know, when you realize someone has that little respect for you, just as a person, it's just not a person that I really care to have in my life. So, but it was all for the better, right? Like, look at where I'm at now. Like that was probably the best decision that could have ever happened to me, for me. It was already going to be a very long, hard road ahead, just based off of, you know, his struggles within, understanding his sobriety. And I think, you know, no matter how much of a support I was, it was never enough for him. And that's okay. You know, we're not each other's people. And I just don't even know if he even understands me as a person in general. But I will say, like, once I like rearranged and reframed, you know, the entire breakup in my head, I was able to, you know, put one foot in front of the other and just start slowly like pushing myself forward. And, you know, which then led me to my baby daddy and then led me to my baby, which was always my ultimate goal. And I feel like I was able to accomplish. I bought a house in Nashville, which I don't think I would have done if I was still inside of that relationship. You know, I was able to like accomplish a lot of like my personal goals and dreams and ambitions that I was able to make come true.
It is so crazy. Like whenever I think about life, like I sometimes think about all the different kind of paths that you can take and it is wild that, when one door closes, another one really does open. And yeah, like it led you to Gemma and now you have a family and, but women are strong as hell. And I think
seriously,
the most impressive thing about you is that you are able to go back on that show, continue filming and just do your thing.
I've always sort of been that way, right? Like, sure, I have accidentally caused drama for plenty of years. I fought with so many boyfriends. I step in shit a lot wherever I go, which, causes a lot of chaos. But ultimately, like, I'm just sort of like on my own path and on my own journey. And like the whole world has literally witnessed me growing up on national television. My entire 30s have been spent on Summer House. And those are the years that we in New York are finally growing up. Like, a lot of people in other areas grow up a lot faster than us here. But our 30s is where we are just like trying to learn how to be adults. And like the whole world came along for every journey of mine. And I think, it's relatable, because whatever I've gone through, I've shared it with everyone.
Right. Yeah. And there's a beautiful thing in that. And there's so many people that relate to your story and have been through similar experiences, and I think that's the cool thing about your position is like, and your, what you've been through is you're able to connect with so many people that have gone through similar experiences, and you kind of are a figurehead of letting them feel less alone.
Yeah, and vice versa. Like people share with me so much on Instagram, and I love reading their stories because it also makes me feel less alone. And that's like a really fun and great community to be a part of.
What was it like announcing your pregnancy last season?
So Carl was not there the night I announced it, and that was by design, by me, because it just wasn't about him, like this was my biggest announcement of my entire life. I was like terrified. I prepared this entire speech that went on for forever because I just was like trying to memorize it and, didn't want anyone to know what I was actually going to say. And it wound up going on forever. But I was a ball of nerves before announcing it, but because I knew, based off of being scared for something to leak, that as soon as I announced it to my castmates, I was going to have to announce it to the world. So I had like two different modes going of announcing. And I had a lot of anxiety and nerves, but it wound up being a beautiful thing. And it was very freeing, like when you get pregnant, your like first trimester, you have to keep it private for so many reasons, or you don't have to, but a lot of women do, just to make sure that they have a healthy pregnancy, that, they're going to make it through the genetic screening, after 12 weeks. And I had a miscarriage before. So I was terrified in my first trimester that like, is this going to be viable? Am I going to have another miscarriage? And, I was scared. It was very freeing when I finally announced and I was able to like celebrate publicly and openly, this beautiful life that I was creating.
Absolutely. What was it like filming the show while pregnant? Was it?
I had so much fun.
Yeah. Was it your first sober season?
Yeah. Yeah. And probably like, it was probably time. But no, I just had a really good pregnancy. I was blessed with like an easy pregnancy. I didn't get sickness or anything. And I was in the sweet spot of like being in my second trimester. I wasn't in my first, I wasn't in my third where I'm like waddling everywhere and dying of heat. But I was in the sweet spot of being in the second trimester. I had a lot of energy, and you as a viewer got to like physically watch me growing. Like every week I would come and like, I was like a little bit bigger. She had started kicking towards the end of summer. So that was like fun. And I was able to share that experience with everyone in the house. Like it was never just me alone pregnant. Physically, I was the only pregnant one, but I felt like the whole house was like really, celebrating with me every little milestone of pregnancy.
December 2024, you welcomed Gemma. How has becoming a mom changed your world?
I went on a date the other day and I like looked at the guy and I was like, you can ask me questions that you might be thinking, because I've been through a lot over the last 2 years, right? And he was like, how has being a mom changed you? And I was like, wow, that is deep and that is creative. So points for creativity. But you know what? It's just such a different world. I think that like I have a very different lens in every decision that I make. It's always putting Gemma first. Even if that means I have to sacrifice like my comfort or, my personal wants and needs. It's always about, making sure she has everything that she needs and wants, to be as happy and healthy as she is. I think, obviously I don't go out as much. I can't really leave my house. Like I put my daughter to bed every single night at 6:37 and, I'm in the room next door watching Love Island. Yeah, I don't know. I think that like I'm a lot more patient, not even just because of having a kid, right? But I think just patience through the whole process and every step of the way. Patient with myself as a new mom and all of the physical, emotional, and mental changes I've gone through. But yeah, of course, like, patient when you have like a baby. I think, yeah, I don't know. And I think that I have this like softer, more emotional side, where I'm like very much easier to cry and, celebrate emotions that, it's not that like I never cried, but like I definitely cry a lot more, and for all different reasons, whether it's happiness or sadness or, just celebrating a friend. So yeah, it's interesting, but I think it'll like, continue to evolve as I continue to be a mom.
What advice would you give to someone who feels like they're starting over, maybe career-wise, relationship-wise, or personally?
I mean, how refreshing. Like you have to look at it as like a refreshing moment that was much needed and like, use it as like a springboard.
I love the word refreshing. What's one boundary you have set in work, life, or love and friendships that's changed your life?
Yeah, one boundary. I guess I haven't really had a lot of boundaries in life. I should probably have more boundaries.
Okay. For anyone who's feeling stuck, what's one small thing that they can do this week to move forward?
Go on a run or exercise. Yeah, now you've inspired me.
We're getting Lindsay back into her.
No, you are.
Her exercise.
My fitness journey starts now.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, and lastly, what do you want Gemma to take away from watching your journey when she watches it back someday?
I think how to be a strong, independent woman, which she is already a very strong, independent baby, but just I want her to be like proud that like I've done everything for myself. I've never been given anything in life. I've worked my ass off, and I want to be able to inspire her in that kind of way.
You will. Thank you so much,
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
This was fun.
This was so fun.